think I know a lot of people here anyway, who may already know my story. So when Anne-Marie asked me to tell my story, I'm happy to do it because, and I know like a lot of you, when getting diagnosed was difficult to get diagnosed. We've been going back to our GPs quite a lot. But once I got diagnosed, my story from there is positive. I've had great experiences since the day I started chemotherapy and all the way through. So for those who don't know me, I've been married to my husband Mark for 16 years. We've always had a great life, a really busy, active life, always been healthy. Did a lot of travelling, and basically life was pretty cruisy for us. Probably helped by the fact that we don't have any children. Life was easy, and we didn't have children through choice. And I had quite an easy life. And then 3 years ago, as Anne said, when I was 47, I got diagnosed. I had the usual classic symptoms of ovarian cancer, but didn't know that they were ovarian cancer symptoms. I guess probably again, like lots of people here. And I didn't think it was cancer. Cancer never entered my head. My main concern being a workaholic, so I'm behind here because I can read my notes because I haven't been prepared. So I'm sorry, I'm behind here for some people. So my main concern was, as a workaholic, I was so tired, and it was affecting my work life. I knew it wasn't normal for me, started to get run down, had a bit of a cough, had a bit of a swollen tummy, etc. And I just thought, well, I'm 47, this must be that funny age, that menopause thing that I must be reaching. But I went to my GP, again, mainly for the tiredness and the cough, and he said, well, I can see you're putting on weight, get on the scales, and started giving me into trouble about my weight. He wasn't interested in any of the other symptoms, so I assumed that was good, so I just wasn't concerned. And then a month later, I was still coughing, and my tiredness was getting worse. Went back to the GP, and again, he still wasn't too concerned, other than the weight, and giving me a lecture, because he could see that my tummy was growing. He could see I was getting fat, as he thought. Went on several times. The last time I went back to see him was probably about 3 months later, and I asked for a blood test because I knew myself it wasn't normal. And my GP said to me that his words were, this is a virus, you just need to be patient. And he gave me this piece of paper here, which says, viral illnesses, this is a viral illness. Take lots of fluids, soup, jelly, isopoles, get rest, take Panadol and Nurofen if needed, and take a cough suppressant, something like Ricodine, he's written on it, and a spoonful of honey per day. And so I did, but it still didn't help. And then I stopped going back because I thought, well, he thinks I'm a hypochondriac anyway. And then I started thinking, well, maybe I am a hypochondriac. Maybe this is all part of this crazy menopause thing. Maybe we all got a bit obsessed. And so I didn't go back for 8 months, and I just put up with it. And then, until the pain got too much, I decided to go to a female GP, just in the hope that her listening skills might be a bit more improved. So I went along to her, and she was concerned right away and sent me for a transvaginal ultrasound, and the result of which showed what looked like an ovarian cyst that was hemorrhaging. So she said it'd come back in about 6 to 10 weeks' time, and hopefully it will have dispersed by then, and we'll have another ultrasound to just check it's dispersed. So during that time, I went back to Scotland because my father was dying of cancer. And when the day that I returned back to Australia, cough was terrible then, and I just thought, well, it's that typical damp Scottish weather. It's just got into my chest, and that's what's made it worse. But I went, luckily for me, my friend's a radiologist, so I went along to her this time, and she said, yeah, I'll scan you, and she said, yeah, it looks like an ovarian cyst, but it doesn't sound like the symptoms you're presenting here are of ovarian cyst. And she could see I was coughing, and she could see by this point I really looked about 5 months pregnant. So she started to look up at my chest. I looked pregnant, but it was coming from here out at my chest and all the way down. And she started looking there with the scan and found the fluid. So immediately she put me through the CT scanner and immediately found the tumours in my chest, around my heart, my abdomen, my liver, and then she carried on down to my stomach, which had more tumours, omentum, pelvis and ovary. She withdrew the fluids from my pleural effusion and ran across to the lab next door to get these tested to see. She knew right away it was cancer, so she was getting these tested to see what sort of cancer we were dealing with. I knew it was serious. I wasn't even listening to the words she was saying because I could see in her face that she was struggling. We'd been friends for 25 years, and she was now giving me this news that she could find all these secondary cancers around. But from there, my feet didn't touch the ground. My friend had already contacted my new lovely GP, my new lady GP. We went to see the GP. She gave me all the facts. She was very straight, she was fantastic. She said, look, you may have less than 12 months to live. I recommend you go and get your affairs in order. Sort out your will and any insurance policies, which we did. And then she sent me to a wonderful gynecologist, consultant gynae surgeon, and he spoke about the usual, the chemo we've all been through, the carboplatin, paclitaxel cocktail, debulking, and then more chemo. And lucky for me, I responded extremely well to the chemo. After chemo, I was administered, after 6 months, I was administered Avastin. And I've been on Avastin now for 3.5 years. I seem to be responding well to Avastin, so I'm happy with that. Chemo, for me, is every 3 weeks and has been for the last 3.5 years. So it's a big part of our life. But it's we embrace it, and it keeps me alive, and you know, none of us won't complain about chemo because it's paper still here, we can talk about it. So I'm grateful for the extra time that I've had with all this. So when Anne-Marie asked me to tell my story today, I'm happy to do it because from this point onwards, my story has been positive. From the day I walked into my surgeon's office and he started talking about managing my disease rather than having 12 months to live, it just put a whole new perspective on it for us. I know how lucky I am to have a fantastic medical team, and I'm sure we all think our own teams are fantastic, but it just gives you that confidence. You've got that 100% confidence in them, and it just makes you just leave everything at the door, just let them deal with everything and carry on with life, carry on enjoying life. It's pretty, I keep want to call him Sam Gibson, he's not here, because I wanted to pay homage to Sam Gibson. When I sat in bed on my first day of chemo, Sam Gibson came into the ward, and she sat down with Mark and I for about an hour, and she told us so much about chemo, what happens after chemo, how wonderful all the medics are that I'm so lucky to have on my side, etc. And she just made us feel amazing and made us have so much hope and know that we were in fantastic hands. And we started stalking her for a while, didn't we? Because she was there to help, and any questions we had, we thought, go to Sam Gibson. And probably for about 6 months non-stop we stalked her. But I would say, I don't know what Sam's title is, but if there's any of these, she was a senior oncology nurse of some sort, and whatever hospital you go to, if you've got one of these senior oncology nurses, use them. The wealth and knowledge has been so helpful. Of course, another great source of information for us and comfort for us has been Ovarian Cancer Australia. Particularly going along to the Perth groups. We haven't been there for a few months because my chemo seems to hit the same day that it's on. But meeting so many of the ladies, most of them are here, through that group, and hearing, it was new to us, and when we went in there and heard ladies talking about when I was diagnosed 10 years ago, we were like, 10 years ago? People survived cancer for 10 years? I'm like, oh, I'm happy with that. 10 years of doing me. So it's gave us so much hope from a lot of you ladies here. We also, when we can attend the Perth group, there's I don't know if you all know, there's a telephone conference ovarian cancer group, which is fantastic as well. And they've often got oncologists and researchers and different people on there, wealth of knowledge, and it's good because they're based over east, so it's good to hear what's going on over there as well. So I recommend that to any of you. And also in our travels, we don't let cancer keep us down, we still do our travelling and get my chemo along the way. So we often have chemo in Melbourne or Sydney, and we go along to the ovarian cancer groups in these areas and find out what's happening, what trials there are, because not all trials are available over there, they're available here. And that's important to us. I know everyone's different and some people don't want to think about the next stage, but for us it gives us comfort knowing everything's good at the moment, but we want to plan for when it does start stirring up again. And so for us, we spend a lot of time finding out about trials, going along to, we talked about ANZGOG, the Australian New Zealand Gynecology Oncology group. And we go along and hear them talk about trials and hear their scientists talk about what other plans that are out there. And while I was in Sydney this year at ANZGOG, Sydney? Yeah, it was Sydney. I met a wonderful scientist, Anna Fazio. I saw her name up here several times on the other slides, and she's doing a plan called Innovate, and currently they're testing my tumours from the lab, and they're testing them to see if the tumour is actually BRCA positive, because I'm not BRCA positive, my blood's not BRCA positive, so she's testing the tumours at the moment to see if they're BRCA positive, and then from there, when the cancer comes back, if there's any trials or anything at that stage through Innovate, then you're on a computer system and they contact you. So there's things like that out there that we try to use. Also through ANZGOG, I think Paul Cohen's involved in this, survivors teaching students, and I think some people here probably already know about that. It's where we're getting involved in whereby they're asking for survivors of ovarian cancer to go along to the universities. They've been doing it over East, they're now starting it in WA, and wanting us to talk about basically our diagnosis, or maybe even like our misdiagnosis, what we've been through, what our symptoms were, to young medical students before they go out into GP world. So it's like the late stage of their training, and we go in and talk to them, and hopefully they might remember your case or your scenario or what you've told them, and hopefully the plan is they might intervene earlier and test any cancer patients, ovarian cancer patients earlier. It's their way of trying to save lives. So we're getting involved in that, and I know they are looking for other people in WA to do the same, if anyone else is interested. Yeah, so that's, we try and get involved in focus groups for our own knowledge, but we just learn from, like someone else said it this morning, we learn from each other, we find out what's going on through the different groups that we attend, the ovarian cancer group here, wherever. So we like to get involved and keep up to date with what's happening. Cancer Council has been a big part for us as well, Cancer Council Australia, and we've attended a lot of classes through them, and the support they've given us through physiology classes, exercise classes, yoga. It's helped me so much going through chemotherapy, but it's also for our partners, the access, and I know Mark doesn't mind me saying, Mark's been going along to meditation and yoga and helping him do Mr. Horizontal, laid back. There's been nothing but stress since the day I get diagnosed. And so now it's helping Mark go along and get help from these classes. Anne-Marie asked me to write 3 things that I wish I had known before my diagnosis. So here's my list of 3. Number 1, I wish I'd known the symptoms of ovarian cancer. She were all the same. Number 2, I wish my GP had known the symptoms of ovarian cancer. And number 3, I wish I'd changed my GP 8 months before I did. Number 1 and 2, ovarian cancer, I've done a lot of awareness of symptoms. Anne's got doing awareness with the GP training on ovarian cancer, so those lot, they're all covered, hopefully. Helps, or doing a bit to help out there. Because we know the only way to save lives with ovarian cancer is early diagnosis. I want to recognise finally carers who look after us and probably, I think, sometimes go through more than we go through mentally, and the anxiety that they go through. And again, I hope Mark doesn't mind me saying, but Mark wouldn't open up. Mark didn't think there was anything wrong. So this is to carers out there. Mark thought he was fine and sailing through all of this, and I could see, and all our friends could see, he wasn't coping. And we were on our travels around Australia in our little motorhome, and we ended up in Melbourne, and Ovarian Cancer Melbourne had a session that day for our carers opening up and talking about what they've gone through. And that was a day that changed for Mark. There was men there talking about getting upset and crying about what it was to them to watch their wife go through and what they were going through. And I think Mark suddenly realised it was okay to talk, and he's got help since. So that's to all you carers out there. Open up, talk, and there's a lot of support. Which most of you already know that anyway. So that's it. Oh, one thing Anne-Marie asked me to mention as well. We'd gone along, where's Susan? Susan and I had gone along to, and our husbands had gone along to the West Australian Parliament to have a meeting with the Honourable Roger Cook, the Health Minister. And we had a fantastic session with him. He was very open and honest with us, you know. He did explain, you know, Health Minister in WA isn't really a health minister, we're just a hospital minister. But he did say the information we took to him about the inequality between ovarian cancer, research, funding against other cancers, and which obviously affects our prognosis compared to other cancers. And he's taken it on board, and I think he's been pretty busy this week with the election, etc. But he has promised he'll come back to us, and once he's taken it to Greg Hunt, if he's still the man in the job in Canberra, if he's still the health minister for Australia in Canberra, and he's going to take it to him and come back to us. He was really very receptive, so I'll let you know the outcome for our next, what happens in our next meeting. Yeah. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you, Anne-Marie.